I really don't know how much longer the Last of Us 2 stuff is going to keep going. It's probably going to go for a while because it would seem that for games media like IGN, Polygon, all these other outlets, this is their Last Jedi. Anyone who's been following, Star Wars stuff knows The Last Jedi is very controversial. I personally think it's a terrible film. But nerd media, stuff like that, people that cover Star Wars stuff or even just general access media websites, they simp for that game hard. It's a masterpiece to them. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way it treated fans and beloved characters. And there's a lot of kind of parallels to that movie in this game. So I want to go over some stuff that's come up in just one day because every day multiple things drop on this game. Like look at this article. Why The Last of Us 2's rope is so damn impressive. Nobody ever goes this far. It's literally an entire article praising the game's rope mechanics. And what's funny about this is Polygon gave this game a bad review. They gave it, if you go to Metacritic, there's only like 5 mixed reviews for this game. Polygon is one of them, I believe. I don't know if they gave it a score actually, but when I read at least their early impressions, they weren't digging the game. Now maybe that's changed, I don't know, but they're writing simp articles. Who writes a whole article, an entire article about the game's rope mechanics? Are you kidding me? And this is what I'm talking about. This is how they simp for this game and treat it like it's the Jesus of video games or something. It's laughable. It really is. But going back to the Last Jedi thing, you can see here's an article from Game Rant, why some of the Last of Us 2 haters are comparing it to Star Wars The Last Jedi. And I like how they put haters in there, try to give it a negative title. But the article itself isn't too bad. They do bring up a lot of the comparisons, treatment of a beloved character. You have Luke and Joel blaming the director. So Rian Johnson and Neil Druckmann. I don't like what Neil and his company have done with Musso and Sony, the way they were cutting down fans. But one difference between Neil and Rian Johnson, or Ryan Johnson or whatever, Mr. Roundhead, Johnson went out and was calling fans man babies and all stuff. From what I've seen, Neil Druckmann has at least not attacked fans, but it's early enough. Let's give him some time. I'm sure he'll fall right into that little pick because he really takes this game serious. He sees it as his masterpiece, and we're already seeing that play out right now. Trying to take away the people's voice on a product, more corporate simping, as I like to call it, corporate bootlicking. You can call it whatever you want, same thing. Forbes here saying The Last of Us Part 2's Metacritic user score rises 32% now that people have actually finished it. Even though I think that there's actually significant evidence at this point where you can probably say Metacritic is deleting or holding back user scores that are negative. A couple people have commented on how their scores have been blocked or aren't showing up, kind of have been ghosted, and it looks like they're removing scores. And I think that's going to continue, and I won't be surprised if they actually just reset it. I've talked about this in a different video on how Doctor Who, the newest seasons with Jodie Whittaker, they've actually reset that score over on Rotten Tomatoes 2 times. 2 times completely because it was so badly received. And every time they reset it, it backfired, and people ended up giving the game even more bad reviews because people that kept coming to the site kept giving it a negative review because they don't like the show. And the people that gave it positive scores, they never came back. So you could either say people were coming back and putting their old score down, or just the more people flooding in that want to talk about the show just don't like it. And I think that that's probably likely. It seems that the positive people just either don't come back or there's just not many that like the product. So this is the big discussion right now. Is Metacritic removing scores? I don't have anything that I can really show you that I think will back that up other than speculation. But I'll say it wouldn't surprise me, and it does seem like it might be going on. I watched the Quarterings video. He made a pretty good argument for it. RK Outpost talked about his review being ghosted. So I think that there's a discussion here that you can have about it, but I can't say 100% that it's happening just yet. But I think that it's likely. We see people saying, hey, here's 6 ways to fix the problem. This is from Inverse. Now, this is really interesting because I want to show you the 6 ways that they have to fix the Metacritic review bombing. So let's go over their 6 reasons. Number 1, more human moderators. I don't think that that's that bad. I mean, they have moderators, right? You go in, people are leaving nasty comments or whatever. Okay. Incentivize reviewers to engage long term. Okay. Prohibit super early user reviews. I actually don't have a problem with this one too much. I really think, maybe a day after the game comes out, like they say right here, 25 through 30 hours. However, I think there's something to be said for early impressions. All right. Because I really do look at user reviews when I want to buy a game. More so than critics. I really don't have any. There's a couple of YouTubers I like, but sometimes they can't get to the game early enough because, well, they don't get review copies or something. So I got to wait for them to finish it. So if I really am on the fence about a game, I can go look at those early user reviews and I can use those for an impression. Okay, how do they feel about it at this point? Are they enjoying the game? Are they digging it? I really think that there's a need for those. So I don't know how I feel about this one. However, you could make the case for it if you really wanted to go there. I don't know. Confirm ownership of the game. This one I don't like at all. What if somebody borrowed the game? What if somebody played it at a friend's house or something like that? I think that just cuts down on who's allowed to talk about something. I think that that's a terrible idea. And then make media outlet selection more transparent. Okay. And then there's this one. And of course, they put this at number 6. This is the one they really want, though. Remove user reviews altogether. This is the one that they really are shooting for and they want to push. Of course they do. Because this is Inverse. This is access media. This is, the mainstream. They don't want you to have a voice. They want to be your voice. But it's sites like Metacritic that make their voices irrelevant. And that's the problem. If you really think about it. That's the problem at the end of the day. That you have a voice and theirs is unneeded. And they know it. And that's why they love going to war with fandom. They secretly hate you. The people that they are supposed to represent, they secretly hate. And I've always found that interesting on a few levels. But let's take a look and see what they have to say here. There's already a site that does this, OpenCritic. Honey, I've never heard of OpenCritic, ever. This is the first time I've ever heard of it. Maybe it's because they eliminate user voice. Do I really need to go to a website that just gives me critic voices? That's it? I already know what critics think. I don't care what they think. I want to hear from users. Metacritic has a bunch of users, and I can directly compare those to critic scores. Why would I go to OpenCritic? What a stupid idea to have a site that has no user voice. Boy, that seems like the site I want to go to. I'm sure it's going to do just fine. OpenCritic's co-founder says that one of the site's aims was to be a games-only alternative to Metacritic. Well, you're doing a terrible job. I've never heard of you. When we launched, we saw numerous gaps with what Metacritic was offering. He explains that's why we launched with features such as crediting authors, including non-scoring reviews, and displaying both the percent recommended and overall percent ranking. The OpenCritic plans to add user reviews at some point. He says, review bombing is absolutely the reason the site has not done it yet. We don't think we can have an effective user review system without some level of moderation, of course. He adds, the site has considered several ideas for how to do so without opening the door to review bombing, such as moderating all user reviews. requiring a minimum account age and blocking user reviews until 2 weeks post-launch. You got to wait 2 weeks to hear from the people. By then, you'll have already spent the money, so what does it matter? I feel like those 2 weeks are the biggest time for the game. So what does it matter? We can just go ahead and eliminate your voice for 2 weeks, but then you've already given our masters, the company, their money. So who cares? Go ahead and review bomb away at that point. Isn't that funny? And I like how they say, we will moderate all user reviews. Well, of course. If this user review doesn't line up with the narrative, get rid of it. This website sucks. So I've never been to OpenCritic. I got no plans to go OpenCritic. Your alternative sucks, and I don't see it taking down Metacritic. Sorry. What a terrible idea. We're going to found a company for people, but shill for companies. Gotcha. We want to make sure that our system supports users who put serious thought and effort while minimizing and eliminating low effort or fake reviews. There are just a few solutions among many possibilities. None of them are perfect fixes or easy to implement overnight, but any one of them would demonstrate that this is an issue Metacritic takes seriously. Right now, it's not doing enough. Well, of course they're not. You're going to blast them, right? Because they're your competition. So, yeah, that's just funny. This, I thought, was a hilarious take. And then, of course, people are upset because apparently a character gets dead named. So the community that Naughty Dog tried so hard to please is still mad at them. Because like I said, it's never enough. It's never, ever enough. Finally, there's a petition to change the game. I like these things. They never amount to much, though, unfortunately. But I do think that people notice them. The petition at this point in time is at 25,000 signatures, which I find pretty humorous. 25,000 people are upset enough to go sign a petition. I like that it's Joel Miller started this petition. I got a good kick out of that when I first saw it. So that's pretty much it. I got nothing else. I want to just go over this stuff and show you guys. And I wonder how much more they're going to simp for this game. I feel like this is only getting started. Anyway, thanks for watching. What are your comments on all this? I'd like to hear from you. Throw a like up, share the video, make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.